we're all set for the qualifying race here. The finale of the World Championship gets underway in Argentina, and as we wait for those lights to go out, Michael Krum in the Nissan's going to try and wrap up this title in the qualifying race, but the Corvette's going to fight him down towards the first corner. Very dusty offline as everybody charges down there, and Jelmer Berman goes around the outside. Oh, he's taken the lead from Michael Krum, who's being sensible and slots into second place, and the battle is going on behind.
Absolutely, I think that was a brilliant start, able to get in front there of that Nissan. And now he's just got to sort of learn more about this track, like I was saying. But you can see he's pulled a little tiny gap already. So it's going to be a very interesting battle. But again, Michael Krum, he just needs to follow it and do his own race.
Yeah, looking down at the other Corvette, that's further down the pack. We're looking pretty long way down the donk. But up front, it is Jelmer Berman on his debut in GT1, who has got the lead over Michael Krum in second. The Nicky Pastorelli Lamborghini running third. Yeah, one of the Fords has taken a big hit. One of the Nissans, that's done. That's bitterly disappointing. It's actually Riccardo Rosati in the car at the moment. Baswell was due to take it over later on, and drama on this opening lap. Now, this might help Thomas Enger and Alex Muller in their Aston Martin. They only qualified back on the fourth row. Thomas is in the car at the moment and desperately trying to move up the order as we're on board with Michael Krum, who sensibly stayed out of that confrontation with the Corvette in the first corner, has settled into second place, and that's reasonably comfortable. But he hasn't got a Nissan behind him, which would make him feel even happier. He has got the Lamborghini of Nicky Pastorelli.
Absolutely, and he's putting a lot of pressure on that Nissan, and it's something that now he's going to keep himself out of trouble. He won't want to fight it overly so, but of course behind him he's got a teammate or a Nissan behind him that can hopefully get in front and give a bit of a breathing space.
Yeah, it's Jamie Campbell-Walter, I think, is the next Nissan, the Sumo Power car, which is tucked in behind the Lamborghini. And look how close it is, yeah, between second, third and fourth. But you're right, the leader actually has opened up quite a gap. You're on board here with Nicky Pastorelli, who's running in third place at the moment behind Michael Krum. And then the rest of the field all following pretty closely behind. We saw that incident that involved a couple of cars, but it looks as though most of them survived. There is, unfortunately, though, Peter Dunbrecht's car limping its way back towards the pits, and unfortunately the suspension damage on that's going to be too severe for them to continue, I would think. So leader across the line, Jelmer Berman leads on his GT1 World Championship debut. What an absolutely outstanding, ahead of Jamie Campbell-Walter. The two Sumo Power cars behind. Katzberg got ahead of Jamie Campbell-Walter on that first lap. Marc Basseng is running in sixth place in his Lamborghini, and this is a crucial race as well for Basseng because he desperately needs to move up. He has to finish first or second in this race to have any chance of keeping the championship hopes alive. There's the number 4 Aston Martin, also one of the cars with an outside chance at the title, but again, that car's got to finish 1 or 2 to keep the championship battle alive, and then hope that Krum and Law have a problem with their car. So now we're back on board with Pastorelli.
Yeah, well, he's doing a good job. We've seen how well these Lamborghinis are gone here. The qualifying didn't quite go to plan, but they're looking very good. The pressure is really on Michael in front of him there. And the car we know is quite quick here, so he's going to put as much pressure as he can on Michael to be able to get in front at some point. And it's looking pretty good for them at this early part of the race.
Yep, tyre wear here is not such a big factor as some of the circuits we've been to. It's a relatively gentle track on terms of tyre wear, but of course the cars will change the balance as they go through a number of laps and as the clock ticks away at the top of the screen. And of course we're a long way away from the first, or from the only round of pit stops. Still a good lead being developed, and there unfortunately Riccardo Rosati has brought that Ford back into the pits. That car got damaged, as did Peter Dunbrecht's car, which you just saw coming into pit lane behind in the background there. So unfortunately for JRM, and that is crucial because JRM, who look after Peter Dunbrecht's Nissan as well as Michael Krum's car, they're trying to win the team's championship. Now what this does is it gives back, I would think, and they're simply not going to be able to get that car repaired to go back out in this race. So very unfortunate there for JRM, and it does have a big bearing on the team's championship. As I say, young driver Aston Martin lead the team points coming into this race, and now it's 1 against 1 effectively because you've still got the Krum Nissan in this race, but Enger and Muller's Aston is still also in there. They're looking at the damage around the back, seeing what it is and seeing whether there's anything they can do about it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a bit too damaged. Well, he's not going to be really going to have any chance in the race, obviously being in the pits, but they will try and get it out there, just get a little bit of sort of extra testing before we go into the championship race.
keep an eye on the other Lamborghinis in that queue. You've got Nicky Pastorelli, who's coming under a bit of pressure now from Nicky Katzberg, but then at the back of that group, or in the middle there, you've got Marc Basseng, who's being chased by another Lamborghini. That's Christopher Haas. Now, he's in one of the DK cars. Christopher Haas has joined for the weekend, but remember, he was very quick in a Lamborghini last year alongside Peter Cox, knows the car, knows the track, and he was showing superb pace in free practice yesterday. They didn't qualify so well, but Christopher Haas, number 47, currently running in 7th place, just ahead of the Hexis Aston Martin of Andrea Piccini, who's just done a very fast first sector. On board here with Michael Crum in 2nd place, 2.5 seconds behind the Corvette.
Absolutely, but he's pulled away from the Lamborghini as well, so it's obviously set into a nice rhythm. You can see how beautiful this track is. Very more space for these race cars, but it's just so well thought out, and it seems to have a popularity all the way through the grid. But he's doing a good job at the moment, and I think hopefully now he can put his foot down, Michael, that is, and maybe get closer to that Corvette.
Yep, we'll see. Long way to go still in this race, as Berman continues to lead and try and establish his advantage. We're looking back here from Marc Basseng at Christopher Haas in the other Lamborghini, and look at who's behind Christopher Haas. I think, it's been a change there, because Thomas Enger's got past Piccini on that last lap. Now, where is Piccini? I think Piccini may have lost a bit of ground in the Hexis car. Race leaders come through. Michael Crum there in second, as you say, just opening up that gap a little bit. Now, Hexis, it's got it. I think it might still be in there. I think it might have actually got past the Lamborghini. That's where it's gone. I think he's moved up one. So Andrea Piccini, I think, has gained a place on this last lap. And we'll check that as they come across the line. Very important. There he is, just going through the shot. And yes, he has. Both Hexis cars are still there. So Piccini gaining a place, getting past Christopher Haas and up into 7th, as Crum still some 3.5 seconds behind the Corvette. So although Crum has managed to pull away a bit from Pastorelli, he's still not lapping as quickly as the Corvette that leads this race. But has Jelmer Berman, is he pushing too hard? We'll only know at the end of the race. Just running a bit wide there with Steph Dusseldorf. But Jelmer Berman, Johnny, leading this race, he's pushing very hard. Any danger there, did we see, or is he totally under control?
Well, I think, hopefully he's under control as far. Not very aggressive at all with the tyres. It takes a couple of laps just in qualifying, where normally you'd find the first lap is the quickest. But in the race, I don't think it's going to be a big problem. All he's got to do is obviously just be very, very consistent. Not push it. He's got the pace. He's got the speed. It just needs to be that consistency, but within himself.
Riding on board with Thomas Enger, who's in 9th place here. He's chasing down that Lamborghini. Christopher Haas has been contact there. That's Marc Basseng has made contact with one of the other Lamborghinis, I think it was, and that's really disappointing for him. Oh, and he's got past the number 47 car. That's Christopher Haas, who has to take the shortcut there. So drama here with one of the championship contenders. Yeah, he's got back on, but he's lost ground because I think there may be damage on the Lamborghini, and Christopher Haas is now dropping back down the order after showing tremendous pace. We didn't quite see how that all began, but certainly enlivening things in that mixed group, which is battling over 6th and 7th places. And look how Thomas Enger is closing up in there now as well. This is going to make life exciting, and a wonderful shot as they climb up through this mountain section here.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of damage on that left as we look at it.
It is the Hexis Aston, isn't it?
Hexis
damage.
Aston, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it is Andrea Piccini. Yeah, it's Andrea Piccini's. That's where that's the car we were looking back from. So Piccini with the damage on the back of the Aston Martin there, looking at Thomas Enger, and Enger will love the look of that because it might give him a chance. Behind them then is Marc Basseng. So he's lost 2 places there, Basseng, throughout the course of that. The Hexis cars moved up. I think Piccini, really, any championship hopes alive is to go out there and try and win this race. And Piccini's been pushing very hard, just looking further down the field. Verdonk coming through, Christopher Nygaard, Jan Claret down towards the back, and also the last of the other Lamborghinis just tucked in there. And you saw Piccioni, I think that was, sliding around. Michael Crum has still got a decent margin in 2nd place over the guys that are battling for 3rd. Still Nicky Pastorelli in 3rd in the Allington Lamborghini. Nicky Katzberg in 4th place. Jamie Campbell-Walter tucked in behind in the identical Sumo Power car, of course, the car that he shares with David Brabham. As we look down from the helicopter shot now, and you can really see from this shot how this track winds its way through the village here with the buildings, the houses, the shops. It's only a small community, but they're right up against the wall of the track. And really, it is a street circuit but it's such a wide, big street circuit.
Absolutely, and it's just so wonderful the way that they've fitted it in. So sort of there we see the side of the hills and the mountains that surround this circuit, very, very high in the altitude. I think it's 2,000 odd feet up in the air, so obviously there is the engines are suffering. There's not really that much air for them to breathe, so there's a lack of engine power. It's the same for everybody in a normal aspirated engine, but it's just very nice. You've got the first part of this track is sort of fairly fast, and then you get into the real technical corners.
To set some quick sector times now. He's just had the fastest second sector time of anybody. Sits there in second. We've seen him before looking after his tyres and making sure that they're at their best at the end of a stint. So we'll put it past him that he starts perhaps now to try and close the gap, but it is up to 4 seconds, the gap between himself and the Corvette that leads this race. But let's just remind you that what Michael Krum is doing here is plenty sufficient to wrap up the championship in this qualifying race. He doesn't need to do any more than he's doing, although the guys have said they want to win it properly, go out in style by taking pole, which they've done by winning both races. Well, they've still got a good chance of doing that. Pastorelli in third, Katzberg, Campbell-Walter chase on, then the gap back to Andrea Piccini in sixth. Thomas Enger in the young driver Aston Martin is in seventh place. Mark Basseng is still holding on to eighth. Then Christopher Haas, who did survive all that bumping and boring and chicane cutting. So Christopher Haas is in ninth place, and Steph Dusseldorp in the other silver and burgundy Hexus Aston Martin is holding on to 10th place. 11th currently is Antoine Leclerc in the Belgian Racing Ford, and then it's the other Corvette, the number 12 car, Nico Verdonk, in 12th position. Still plenty of time to go in this race for things to develop, and you've got to see there that Steph Dusseldorp is right with the two Lamborghinis ahead of him as we come back to the battle for third, fourth and fifth places. The two Sumo Power, the white and black Nissans there, with the young Dutch driver Nicky Katzberg in the first of them, Jamie Campbell-Walter in the second, pulling away just a bit from Andrea Piccini. Piccini's been putting in a bit of a charge. Last lap 1:17.9, but the Nissans ahead of him lapping a little far. To have any chance in the driver's title, it's a very remote chance anyway, and particularly with the sort of form we're seeing from Krum and Law, it's virtually no chance. But he and Bigglehot won't give up until it's all over.
Oh, absolutely, and I think at the front end, Berman seems to be still keeping the pace. You know, Krum now is sort of matching him, maybe a couple of tenths slower, but it was a good half a second or so in the early part of this race. So we're already seeing that Michael has sort of got a very good car underneath him, and that consistency is starting to pay dividends. Still not quick enough yet to actually close the gap, but at the end of the day, there's a long, long way to go yet.
Jamie Campbell-Walter getting back very close to the back of Nicky Katzberg, and it looks as though Jamie feels as though he might be able to go that little bit quicker and try not to see that gap disappearing to the Lamborghini ahead. But of course they're identical cars. It's going to be difficult to try and make a move here. Sumo Power not really featuring in the team's battle, sadly. They come into this event in 5th place in the team's championship. So if anything, they're out there just trying to help their JRM teammates. But I think Jamie Campbell-Walter will be quite keen to try and get past here and see whether he can't close up the gap to Nicky Pastorelli ahead. Meanwhile, I can tell you on that last lap that Michael Krum was the quicker of the leaders, not by very much, and the gap is still 4.4 seconds.
Yeah, as I said, it seems to be coming to him now. Yeah. So he's very, who is still, I have to say, very consistent.
So Nicky Katzberg still in 4th place, riding on board with the car behind him. This is Jamie Campbell-Walter in the number 21 car. And Nicky, lovely touch actually, he's distributed clogs to all the team members as a thank you for everything they've done for him this year. So some great fun clogs he's given to the team, and all the guys have been having some fun with those today. I don't quite know how he managed to put them in his luggage to come all the way over here to Argentina, but a lovely touch there from Nicky Katzberg. Of course, joined the Nissan team later on in the season, was in the Corvette himself earlier on in this year, in fact, and was very, very rapid in it. So now we're seeing some new young drivers showing what they can do in a Corvette as they lead the race, Yama Berman. I tell you what, as we watch this battle between Campbell-Walter and Nicky Katzberg, I wonder what the driver who will be taking over the lead Corvette is going to be feeling at this stage. We're a little way away from the pit stops, but Francesco Pastorelli has done very little racing recently, was quick in qualifying, but it's going to be quite exciting taking over the lead car, and no doubt we'll get a look at that later. Climbing up the hill now, and just take a look at this replay of the start here, Johnny. Talk us through it.
Where you see Berman there gets the right line, really. He's on the outside, but it's such a wide entry to that right-hander there. A bit further back. There's a bit of...
pretty good, actually.
It was very clean. It was a little bit later on that lap where we saw the contact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but no, a very clean first corner. I know last year there was a little bit of goings on.
There Watson came back despite various people getting in trouble last year with double win here for the Hexes team. But right now it's a Corvette that leads. Corvette yet to win a championship race so far this year. In fact, to win a qualifying race as well, although they had success in 2010. But let's wait and see what happens here, because you've still got the championship leaders, Michael Krum and Lucas Law, in a very strong second place. And Jelmer Berman, although he leads and is maintaining the gap at the moment, it's a long way to go, and he's going to be handing over to Francesco Pastorelli, who's also making his GT1 debut in the second half of this race. Two Nissans haven't changed position. It's still Katzberg 4th and Campbell Walter 5th in the two Sumo cars. They have caught back up a little bit though to Nicky Pastorelli, haven't they?
Yeah, I think Jamie actually is the quicker of these two Nissans there. The 21, which is behind there in those three we can see. I think he's actually slightly quicker, but it's just being quick in the right places to get himself so he can actually get a slingshot to pass, which at the moment he doesn't seem to be getting quite close enough. He's a little bit better on the latter section where all the corners are. He seems to sort of catch up. They go up a hill in a moment, and then from that point on, that seems to be where he's able to get closer. As you can see, he's sort of slowly coming in there, but not close enough. Right.
Now, this was the accident that Dumbreck got hit by somebody. Difficult to quite spot what was going on.
I think there was the Lamborghini shoots across. Yeah, what it was, that was the GT40 actually shot across from the left, as we see, to the right, and that clouted the back end of that Nissan there and damage on suspension.
Peter trying to see what happened himself, I think. I don't think he knows. He's out of the car, clearly.
Wrong time,
yeah. I'm not sure if what happened to him on that first lap, but he was, of course, they did have a grid penalty, so they were further down on the grid than they had qualified. I bet he was wishing they hadn't had the penalty, because they would have been in a bit of clear air. But that's the way it goes. Yeah. And Dumbreck shrug of the shoulders, as we saw. So, climbing around the sides of the mountain here. It's Pastorelli and the Lamborghini coming under more threat. So it's changed again on this last lap. So Pastorelli now under pressure from Katzberg.
A lot more.
Campbell Walters dropped back a bit. So it keeps sort of seesawing this gap. And you have to say the Nissan race pace is looking very, very good, because they're able to lap very quickly, lap after lap. And it's now allowed Katzberg to close to Pastorelli.
Absolutely. Again, he's just going to have to monitor what he can do with that Lamborghini in front to get in the right place. There'll be a certain part of the circuit for sure that one will be quicker than the other. But if that 20 Sumo Power Nissan with Nicky Katzberg can actually get close enough. Oh, there we go. Now that's pulling off.
Piccini, that's Piccini in trouble. Yeah. Andrea Piccini, we saw the bit of damage to the back of his car, but it didn't seem to be affecting him earlier on. But Andrea Piccini has slowed right down, and that is all over now for any scant hopes that they had of still winning the championship, as Enger still under a bit of attack there from Mark Basseng. Change between the two Nissans. Yes, it is. Nicky Katzberg had to really get out of it. Whether he was trying to overtake the Lamborghini, maybe he was, and in doing so, we'll take a look in a second. And a spin there for Christopher Nygaard in the number 9 Ford. So all going on. Whether there's any fluid down there, I don't know, but certainly a bit of action going on at the chicane there. And this lap has seen plenty going on, because Andrea Piccini has dropped back. Thomas Enger still in the race in the young driver Aston Martin, and he'll be desperate to try and move up, because then young driver can still keep their hopes alive in the team's championship. But the drivers' championship at the moment is looking more and more as though it's heading towards Michael Krum and Luke. In fact, Michael has just set another middle sector that's faster than anybody else in this race, but he's still 4.2 seconds behind the leading Corvette.
Yeah, overall on lap time, they're doing the same pace, so they're actually maybe doing those splits, but he's not getting them all together to actually close that gap. I think it was a 16.3 for Berman there, and it was for Michael Krum, it was a 16.3. So again, as I said, they're doing the same times, but he's throwing in, especially in that second sector, that seems to be where that Nissan is working very well. But as we follow the Jamie now, like you said before, he is now able to catch up on this Lamborghini as well. So now again, a lot of pressure, a lot of looking in his mirror, seeing a big white and black Nissan.
Yeah, that's right. This circuit only used once a year for a big event. They have the Argentine touring cars here as well this weekend, which is very much their big national Racing Series. But it's amazing how they put this whole thing together, closing the roads around the lake and putting on a tremendous race circuit. There is another racetrack last time which we didn't quite catch.
Yeah, so James on the outside, Kenton to the inside. There's only generally one line, so if you can push that car onto the dirt, that will just enable him to there. So now, but it's a left.
He might have the inside line. No, not quite. The Lamborghini's just able to turn in ahead. I wondered for a moment there.
Yeah, now it's this left he needs to get right, because there's a nice drive up here, and quite got the drive there. But again, he's just putting that Lamborghini under a lot of pressure. This is a right, and this is going up to the fastest point of this track. They're doing about 254 kilometers just as they break here for this right-hander. Quite close enough. And then there's a tricky left-hander coming up with these guys, and they have to brake when they're turning left. So it's quite a tricky one here at this point here.
Yeah, you can see that, the Lamborghini. Yeah. The back end of the Lamborghini as the brake lights come on, because it's cornering at the same time, looking a little bit loose. And the driver's hanging on there, trying to balance the car on the brakes.
Jamie is a very good racer. He's always very aware of where he needs to put the pressure on, and that's what he's going to be trying to do on this sort of tricky part of the circuit now that they're on towards the pit straight.
David Brabham watching this closely, because he'll be taking that car over. Loves this circuit. He really felt good about it as soon as he drove it this weekend. He's not one of those who drove last year. My goodness, the Lamborghini was slow mid-corner, and the Nissan virtually running into the back of it there as Jamie Campbell-Walter tries to get a good exit. And that Lamborghini is definitely beginning to struggle a bit.
Yeah, definitely so. So that's probably down to, I suppose, tyres or tyre pressures maybe not quite sticking where his car looks very balanced.
Yeah. Just seeing the leaders go across the line. Berman still leading by 4.8 from Michael Crum in second place. This is the race for third then between Nicky Pastorelli, a race winner this year with teammate Dominic Schweiger. Great qualifiers who had all sorts of mechanical problems in the early part of the year when they should have been able to do it. Now, this is this is the Piccini car. We saw him drop back, Johnny.
Puncture there, obviously. That's what it was. It was a puncture on the front. See the tyre there?
Right.
He runs over his own tyre.
So the tyres peeled off the rim.
Yeah.
So that's why he suddenly slowed down. Jamie Campbell-Walter again trying to get past the Lamborghini. Now, this is where he needs the overlap. Can he get his nose alongside? Not quite there.
Not quite. It seems to be where he's sort of at best. It's very tricky on that latter part of the circuit to get anywhere. He gets close, but it's very hard to pass. That seems to be his best opportunity, but he's got to get the corner before that chicane there to throw himself up the inside. Lost a bit of time there, but that's just where he's fighting it. And we have another fight.
Yep, this is Mark Basseng fighting away with the other Hexis Aston Martin. I think that was or is it Thomas Enger? He's been battling with it's a Hexis car, isn't it? So that car must have made some progress, because Steph Dusseldorf, I think, must have gained a bit of ground on this last lap. The pit window will be opening up very soon now. Ticks away. The battle for third comes through, fourth and fifth. Corvette has been mighty ever since the start and has pulled away and opened up a gap of 4.8 seconds. There's Crum in second place in the Nissan. Then it should still be the Lamborghini in third, chased by Jamie Campbell-Walter and Nicky Katzberg. And then behind them, we think it's still Thomas Enger running in sixth place, but there might have been changes behind Enger, so we'll watch for that when they come back past us next time as they climb past the cliff here. The Lamborghini really fighting for traction and grip, but still the mid-engine Lamborghini very good on the brakes up against the front-engine V8 powered Nissan. And you could see when Jamie got close to it, the Lamborghini with that mid-engine configuration's nice and late on the brakes, but they are coming in the pits. Both come in together. So this is going to be the battle of the pit lane now. It's going to be Al Inkel. There's Dominic Schweiger ready to take over from Pastorelli. And it's going to be Jamie Campbell-Walter to hand over to David Brabham.
Yeah, and I think we're very aware.
But Brabham's not quite ready. They're trying to get Brabham ready.
Yeah, but we know the Nissan they've been working very hard on their, I hope David's out, very hard on their pit stop. Now he's finally ready.
So maybe that's
a late call, I think.
Yeah, maybe that caught them out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm basing this on their pit stops have been so good. They reckon this is a good opportunity for them to actually jump them in the pits, make it a lot easier. So this is going to be an important stop for these guys. And if that Nissan can get out in front, it just makes their job a little bit or a lot easier.
Well, 10 seconds before he came in the pit lane, David Brabham didn't have his helmet on. Away goes the 37 car. That was a great stop. Oh, it's been a slow stop for the Sumo Power guys.
The nuts.
So hard. It's all gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah,
well,
nuts crossed, obviously, and he can't get the damn thing off.
They would be hoping that it happens.
Oh, there we go.
I suppose to the Sumo car rather than the JRM car, but
disaster.
That's horrible because Jamie Campbell-Walter had fought so hard in that first section of the race, and now that's all gone away. Now we're seeing most of them actually coming into the pits and making a pit stop on this one. Thomas Enger has been in, handed over to Alex Muller.
And he's dropped behind Thomas now.
Yeah,
so
he's lost a lot of places as a result of that very, very slow pit stop. We're yet to see the leader come in. And by the way, last time around, Jelmer Berman had opened the gap up to 5.4 seconds. It's a massive lead for Jelmer Berman. But remember, he's also going to be handing over to Francesco Pastorelli, who's also never driven in a GT1 race, and actually is less experienced on the international level than Jelmer Berman. Berman's done a lot of international single-seater racing. Francesco Pastorelli, not nearly so much. There's the poor number 4 Hexis car, punctured tyre. It's taken forever to get that car back to the pits, and it has dropped way, way down the order, I'm afraid. And the poor Hexis team, their luck hasn't got any better. Remember, they lost the win in Beijing in the wet when Pacini went off in the closing moments of the race. Things haven't got any better for him here, sadly. And as Christian Hohenadel gets ready to go,
stop it.
They're actually saying no.
Cut the back. I think they're probably
there's the
bodywork. That's the leader. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, not the leader, but the championship leader, Michael Krum, coming in to hand over to Lucas Luhr. And sorry, saw afflict the Sumo Power car. They're running around. They've got them done so far. Very calm between the two experienced drivers, Luhr and Krum. That wheel comes off. It was this one that caused the problem on the Sumo. No such problem for JRM. The sister team gets the Nissan out, and no problem at all. Meanwhile, the other Alinkel car is in. Mark Basseng handing over to Marcus Winkelhock. Door down. They had a great stop with the other car, but they have picked up a couple of penalties this year in the pit, so they'll be keen not to repeat that. As around comes the number 37 car that had a very good stop. But remember, it's still Jelmer Berman that leads this race in the Corvette at the moment, because he's not made a pit stop as yet. Round comes Schwager. Now is Lucas Luhr going to get out ahead? I think he has, yeah. And also there is the Hexis Aston Martin. So that's just joining in at the moment. So all the front runners so far have had relatively clean stops. We're still waiting for 1 or 2 cars in, notably the Corvette that leads this race. The number 20 Nissan would have gained on the pit stops. Bernoldi now in that car, and they didn't have the problem that Jamie Campbell-Walter and David Brabham's car had. And on board here with Lucas Luhr, who's now getting himself up to speed, Johnny. Always tricky, presumably, for the driver just into a car. At this stage of the race, you've got to reacclimatise pretty damn fast.
Yeah, you definitely have. I think one advantage you get here, where it's quite grey, that's how the track sort of started up. But when these guys get in, that little bit of rubber gives them a little bit of confidence because it's a bit more grip. But still, you know, you've got to get on the ball and on the pace very, very quickly. And these guys generally are able to do that.
Race leader has stayed out for another lap, but that's okay. He's got another lap in hand before he has to stop. They've got the fastest lap of the race as well. That was set on lap number 9. We're now on lap 13. So this really is an outstanding performance by Jelmer Berman.
Absolutely.
24-year-old Dutch driver who, as I mentioned earlier, raced in Formula 3, has been a race winner in the Super League series for the big V12 engine single-seater cars, and I've watched him race those on several occasions. He's very consistent, good when he gets in front, particularly he just ticks the laps off, and that's what he's been doing here in the Corvette. And when we spoke to him earlier, Johnny, after qualifying, had a big beaming smile, but he just loves driving this car, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, for someone who's single-seater, jumping into a GT car, it normally takes a bit of time, but it's been amazing how he's adapted to these GT1 cars, and that obviously is very good for his future.
Yeah, if he's trying to build a career in GTs, he's certainly going the right way about it on his debut here, leading the race ahead of the almighty Nissans, if you like, of Krum and Luhr, which have had such a strong season. In comes the number 9 car, Christopher Nygaard, about to hand over to Jonathan Hershey, who jumps in, and the Belgian Racing Ford will be turned around fairly fast. I would imagine that we'll be seeing the race leader come in next time around. Final section of the track now through the quick sweeping chicane, and then he'll be heading up towards the last corner. Will they?
Well, they need to do it soon. I think, you know, that pit window.
Oh, we're not quite there, yes. He's just coming up to that section now. I was a bit ahead of myself.
Sure.
So
you always have to pit in this pit window, which is open at the moment. So hopefully, we don't have a horrible mistake where they miss it.
I'm sure they won't.
I'm sure they won't.
Patrick Sellerslow, who runs the team, it's a very small team.
There you go. I think he's coming in. Yeah,
family-run team. Yeah, he's in. No great surprise. Now, it is a small team, this one. Very close-knit. They don't have anything like the numbers of people that are working on the, say, the Nissans or the Aston Martin. They all muck in together to do the engineers are usually involved in the tyre change as well. So they don't have an excess of people. There's only 2 guys allowed to work on the car clearly anyway when it comes in for its stop. Let's see how it goes for them. So Jelmer Berman has led start to finish so far. He is now handing over to another name that's unfamiliar in GT1 circles, and that is Francesco Pastorelli, younger brother of Nicky Pastorelli, who's already done his stint in the Lamborghini. And Francesco, well, at one point Nicky said to him, why don't you just come out to Argentina and we'll have a nice time together? And Francesco said, well, I'd rather be racing. And upon that, he got an offer.
Oh, we're okay.
And he's away. He is away eventually. That was a bit of a problem, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little. I think he was doing it one-handed. I think he was just not quite on the nuts because he's still quite a way behind.
I think so. Yeah, I think the Corvette's still going to be in front by the time he comes onto the circuit. But of course, the question is now, how is Francesco Pastorelli going to deal with this? There is he coming out of the pit lane. Don't go over the white line.
Lucas just coming into shot.
So the gap is still quite an appreciable one.
It will shrink.
Yeah, Francesco Pastorelli is surely going to take a lap or so to get up to speed. Having said that, his qualifying performance this morning was pretty good. He was only a few tenths slower than Jelmer Berman in his section of qualifying, and he was right up there in the mix. So he is not a slow driver at all, is Pastorelli. The younger Pastorelli. He's a former Formula Ford champion in the Benelux Series, the Dutch Championship, raced in the UK a little bit as well, raced in the ALMS Series in the States. And Lucas Luhr, there you are, riding with him now, seeing if he can close that gap.
Yeah, well, it's funny how you've got one with not so much experience to Lucas here in the 23 Nissan, who's got a wealth of experience. So, you know, he's going to be under a lot of pressure, Francesco Pastorelli, and I think it's something that's going to be quite interesting for him.
Let's get down to the pits because Haley Coxon is with the man who has dominated the first part of the race, Jelmer Berman.
Congratulations, gentlemen. What a stint that was. You must be happy with the performance of yourself and the Corvette.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, it's great. It's the first race ever in GT1. So I'm really happy. I mean, the car is great. In the beginning, I was a little bit too cautious with the tires. I think I could have gone a bit harder because in the end, it was still, you know, the tires were still quite good. So, but, you know, it's the first time I do this long through. So I'm really happy. I want to thank the team and the people that made it possible. So, yeah.
Thank you, Val.
So Jelmer Berman, who has certainly shone on his debut. Now, what about Francesco Pastorelli? Is he going to shine at the same level of brightness? We're going to find out over the next 25 minutes. He has an advantage over Lucas Luhr. The pit window's now closed. They've all made their pit stops now, including the Christopher Haas Lamborghini, which I think was probably the last car to come in for the stop. And we'll get an idea, Johnny, on this next lap as to what the gap is exactly between first and second, between Corvette and Nissan. And then we'll see.
Well, looking at that, it's not a bad gap at all. You would have expected Lucas there to roll a bit closer when he's trying to get in there, but actually it seems as if he's done a very good outlap.
4.6 seconds the gap. Now it was up over 5 seconds before the stop, but remember the stop wasn't perfect.
Nope.
They did have a slight little glitch on the pit stop, and I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Yeah, a little thumbs up. Look at the shield on the back there, the Jelmer shield on the back of his overalls. He is looking very jaunty, very happy with things. Michael Krum, well, jaunty and happy is not usually a description you'd apply to Michael, but I think he might be at the end of this race. He's so intense, he's so serious about his racing. But if they carry on where they are now, they will be world champions, and I think you might even see a smile on his face at that point.
I think so.
On board with Alex Muller, who is chasing another Aston of Clivio Piccioni, the Hex's car just ahead. Great rivalry between these two Aston Martin camps, isn't there?
Yeah, it's very nice. You know, they're always parked next to each other. There seems to be sort of a mutual respect, and obviously this is probably where that respect stops. This will all be about, I want to beat you, sonny boy.
And of course, what's actually what Hexes do, Hexes are not just going to let them go through to win a team's championship, because the honour is at stake. Philippe Dumas would rather fall on his sword, the team manager at Hexis, than let somebody pick up points. I think he is one of the series' most competitive people, and he's not even a driver, he's a team manager, but he hates it when they lose a place or even a few tenths of a second. So I'm sure he'll be encouraging Piccioni here to stay ahead of Muller. Behind them, by the way, is Markus Winkelhock in the Lamborghini. Now he's going quite quickly at this point, and is definitely closing the gap up. So you're looking there at the race that's going on at the moment for 5th position.
Yeah, well, we'd seen the speed of Marcus and that Lamborghini sort of in the early parts of this weekend, and then we failed to see it, which was really surprising in the qualifying. But again, it looks as if their pace seems to be a little bit better in the race, and Marcus there seems to be getting on the back of those two Astons in front, and of course he'll want to get past as good as he can.
Yep, but let's see whether he can. Just ahead of them, by the way, is Bernoldi in the Nissan, and yeah, some slightly happier faces at Young Driver than there were this morning when they discovered that Darren Turner, Stefan Mucker car was not going to be racing, and it's such a shame not to see Stefan and Darren in the fight, and they could have taken it certainly into the final race of the weekend. Whatever happened, they would have done, I'm sure, but no chance to repair the car. We're a long way from home.
Absolutely.
Repairing a chassis can't be done.
No, it looks like Marcus there in the background. Obviously, he was presuming he's made a bit of a mistake.
Well, he's been pushing hard, and I guess, as you say, he's just overcooked it a little bit somewhere. Pastorelli, oh, I tell you what, up front, the lead has come down a lot on the last lap. Remember how it was 4.4 seconds a minute ago, 2.9 seconds between first and second, and the younger Pastorelli may not find it quite so comfortable to stay in front in this race, as Lucas Law is definitely chasing him down.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised because the lap there of that lead Corvette there was a 2:19 against Lucas's 2:17. So that's quite a big difference. Maybe there was a mistake or something in there, and this is where all that pressure is going to build, and Lucas is going to put as much as he can onto Francesco there, and hopefully he's just going to sort of bide his time, get into the swing of things. Once he gets into it, he can then hook it up like we saw with Yama Berman in the first part of the race.
So down the hill they come then, and it's still a really good dice between the two Aston Martins, the Hexis car, the silver and burgundy car of Cliffio Piccioni, former single-seater racer himself, who will have noted Yelmer Berman's impressive performance, I should think, with a smile, thinking, yeah, I've been there, I've done all the single-seater bit, and then come into GT1 and gone well. He's being chased by Alex Muller there, the two identical Astons but run by different teams. A car, this Aston Martin, that has done so much good over the years. I know, Johnny, you were looking into the history of one of the Hexis cars that started racing back in 2005, didn't it?
Yeah, precisely. And, you know, these Aston Martins got a wonderful history, very successfully at Le Mans, the American Le Mans series as well.
Much better lap from Pastorelli.
Yeah, exactly.
He held the gap, didn't he, on that lap? They both the leader and Lucas Luhr lapping 2:17.3. The quickest guys on track at the moment are actually Bernoldi, Piccioni and Muller here, because they're in the 2:16.
Yeah, which is sort of quite a surprise. I think from Francesco's side, it must have been he made a mistake or something, because of he was 2 seconds slower on that last lap. So as I said, you know, he just needs to not look in the mirrors. It's always sometimes a difficult thing for a driver not to look in the mirrors to see where that car is behind. It's just focus on what's in front, focus on getting a consistency, and focus on you know, not making any mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely right. And now he's got to try and keep that concentration. I was chatting to him earlier, you know, he didn't race at all last year. He's done one race this year, and actually his normal job is to work on these cars. He actually is a mechanic and team manager for a Dutch supercar team. So his day job is actually working on the cars, not sitting behind the wheel nowadays. He did his Formula Ford, he did his Porsche racing a couple of years ago, and you know, it's nice to try and become a professional driver, but actually he's earning his living by working on them until this offer came up, and here he is leading a GT1 World Championship race.
Absolutely. Well, it makes it all more spectacular how he's been able to adapt that quickly. You know, one race in the year compared to these guys who've had many seasons of continual racing. So, and again, he looks as if his pace is coming to him, which is really good.
So the main thing for him now is the concentration, because sometimes the driver can not be quite so strong, the concentration maybe not quite as sharp as the guys who've been racing regularly. Lucas is flying all over the world almost every weekend because he's racing in the United States, he's racing in this championship, he is racing in Germany. Lucas is one of the busiest professional drivers that's in this series.
Absolutely, and he has been for many years now. So again, you know, he's a man with a wealth of experience against Francesco Pastorelli, who's, you know, hasn't got that much experience, and he's gone out. I think that went up a 10th.
Yeah.
That lap. So again, he seems to be getting into the groove, and he's just got to just carry on doing this sort of pace and consistency, which at the moment is making it a bit hard for Lucas there.
Alex Muller on attack here, and Alex Muller getting past Piccioni. Surely he's got the move made this time. Yes, the Golf car does just get past the Hexis car, so the young driver team will be pleased about that to gain some valuable championship points in the team's battle. Now, not many points are on offer in this qualifying race, but it will be crucial to get on the grid for the championship race tomorrow and hope that they can stay within touch of the JRM car of Lucas Luhr and Michael Krum in particular. They'll also be wary of Westbrook and Dumbreck's progress in that championship race, but they need to get as many points as they can out of this qualifying race. And Alex Muller with that move, that will certainly help him. He's got to go chasing after Bernoldi now as we move back. David Brabham, by the way, after that horrible pit stop that we saw for Jamie Campbell-Walter and David Brabham, Brabham is down in 9th place, not really a part of this game. And Max Martin has been one of the outright stars, I think, of this year's championship in his Ford GT. Well, he's down in 10th, struggling with the Ford GT on a circuit that really just doesn't suit that car. Oh my goodness, that was a bit of a slide and a wiggle there from Alex Muller, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. But again, he's going to have to push, and he's wanting to push. He's got that Nissan that's just gone out of shot, and he wants to close that gap. He wants to get as many positions as he possibly can, because it's going to be very important for them.
So up the hill they come once more, or just entering that hilly section, the sort of corkscrew section, and it's Alex Muller having got past that number 3 car of Clivio Piccioni, who is pushing mighty hard to try and catch Enrique Bernoldi in the Nissan just a little further up the road. Lovely to see how competitive the different brands are here. Although Ford does struggle a little bit at this track with its lower power, if you like, slightly more restricted engine than some of the other cars, everything else looks very even here. You've got the Corvette leading. Corvette showing great strength on this track. Nissan obviously very quick. That lap, a fraction the other way. Lucas Luhr was the fractional faster there. 2/10. He got back on Pastorelli, but 2/10 around a 6.2 kilometre track is really virtually nothing. Yelmer Berman watching on nervously. He's not been in this position really before. He's done one sports car race before in a Ferrari 430, a longer distance race. But he's used to being a single-seater driver where you don't share anything.
No, not in a world champion. Comfortably passing. Well, it looked quite comfortable from this point of view. It gets a bit close as we go under the braking. It's a bit close.
Yeah, that was tight, wasn't it? But they didn't do anything silly, and I guess that was what was that about, a better exit off the last corner? Was that the...
Precisely, yes. Definitely a better drive there. Funny enough, Marcus Winkelhock behind has actually closed that gap after we saw he dropped down quite a distance behind, but now he's actually nearly on the back of that Lexus Aston Martin.
On board with Lucas Luhr, heading towards the World Championship title here, because second place would be more than enough. Look at the lap times, gaining, losing a little bit. It's terribly tight between them. Michael Krum watching, waiting to see, are they going to wrap it up on the Saturday here in Argentina, and then in the championship race just be able to relax and go for it and not worry anymore about the points situation. These two have made an incredibly strong pairing, the two German drivers. Lucas Luhr was brought in by James Rumsey, the boss of the team, for this season, and he really brought in some great driving talent this year, and they're going slowly. I think that was rejoined, that was the Westbrook Nissan, which has come out of the pits. Just so that you know, that car got damaged in the early stages of the race when Dumbreck was in it, got involved in a bit of a midfield bash, and they've obviously repaired the Nissan and sent it back out, really just to make sure it's going to be okay for the championship race. So sensible stuff. Now, look at the driver classification. This is, if they finish where they are now, Krum and Luhr would be on 137 points, and that would be more. If they were, then they wouldn't wrap it up, Krum and Luhr. But we know Mucker and Turner won't start, and the other drivers there, Enger and Muller, on 102 points, they are just that little bit further behind and unable to be a part of it. So that's the story. Looking good for Krum and Luhr at the moment. But Michael Crum is nothing if not a realist, and he's been in so many situations in motorsport where things have turned against him as well as for him, and he won't reckon on it until it's actually done. 12.5 minutes is all he's got to wait to see if it is going to be done on this qualifying race here at Potrero de los Funes in Argentina, between the concrete walls. But it's a great width here, that's the lovely thing. So you get this lovely flowing nature to the circuit despite the concrete walls all around, and spectators just protecting themselves a little bit from the intense sunshine here, up to the cliff face corner and back down the hill with the lake on the right hand side. JRM looking good for the title here. Let's go and hear from team boss James Rumsey.
Michael, it's certainly a tense moment. You're just over 10 minutes from potentially taking the GT1 World Championship.
Well, yeah, it's not over yet, so we cannot relax it at all. You never know what happens in racing. We've seen it so many times, and it's 10 minutes, but it's 10 long minutes right now, so we have to just wait and see.
And James, it's certainly not a time to relax, as Michael was saying. The tension.
We just need to focus on getting as many team points as possible for tomorrow now. But if it stays as it is, we're really over the moon for Michael and Lucas, and it's been a real good team effort this year.
Thank you.
It has been a good team effort. What's the gap between the leaders? Well, actually on that last lap, I tell you, Francesco Pastorelli there lost a little bit. Not a massive, but he lost 4/10. And the gap is down to 2.3 seconds, so it's not over. But Crum and Law might win this race. And let's just see, I think the gap's even closer than that. Let's just see as they come over the line this time. It's closer surely, yeah, 1.5. 1.5 the gap. And Lucas Law, with a 2 minutes 16.2, is lapping very fast now. And those guys don't only want to win the championship, they want to win it in style and win the qualifying race as well.
Absolutely, I think that'd be something that Michael had mentioned earlier on today and yesterday. They'd love to end it on a race win, and they're getting pretty close to it as well. So it's really coming down. Quite a big difference there. It was 8/10 on that last lap. Lucas was a lot quicker there. So again, Francesco, I'm sure he's looking in his mirrors and he's just seeing that that car is just slowly edging its way, getting closer and closer to the rear bumper.
Yeah. But it's one thing, as we know, to close up, then he's got to find a way past as well.
Precisely.
But well, Lucas Law, he's got to think about it. He doesn't want to throw. See, he doesn't want to take a risk at this point and wrap up the championship here today and then concentrate on winning the championship race. Meanwhile, there's Alex Muller in 5th place in the first of the Astons, followed by Clivio Piccioni and Marcus Winkelhock, who, as you say, closed that gap back up to the two Astons. But now, who's been fighting a bit of oversteer this weekend. We saw it in practice yesterday, and it was great to watch. Yeah. He has lovely car control, but it's not the ideal situation.
No, absolutely not, no. The car's looked a little bit better, as I said. Maybe, again, where the rubber has come into play, it's sort of actually made the balance work very well, as we see a very slow...
Max Martin pulling off, that's a disappointment. He was running in 10th, so that would have been a reasonably useful grid position for tomorrow, but not going to happen for him.
No, and the gap is getting closer and closer for Lucas.
Meanwhile, actually, very interestingly, you know, fastest, we spoke to Max Martin earlier, and he set fastest lap here last year. Well, a Ford apparently has taken fastest lap in this race as well, Jonathan Hershey. Again, I don't quite understand that, unless he cut the chicane or something, but anyway, hopefully it's all right. No, but look at the leaders, look how much closer Lucas Law is getting to Francesco Pastorelli. I mean, that was a 4.4 second gap after the pit stops. And now, well, it's going to be half a second, I would think, if that. Look, he's massively closer now. And Pastorelli surely must be struggling, whether it's on the brakes or what's happening. Yeah, it's 6/10 as they cross the line this time.
Yeah, well, amazing. Again, Lucas, again, has just really put in some brilliant laps. That consistency has been absolutely fantastic. Francesco Pastorelli has been just that little bit off a colour. He's sort of one of the slowest in the top 10, if not the slowest in the top 10 on those last couple of laps, but we have seen he has got the pace, but it's just doing that consistency and not making mistakes. And now he's looking in his mirrors and he's seeing a very big Nissan GTR.
So Max Martin's pulled the car off to a safe place. I think that's okay. Down the hill they come into the first of the chicanes then, turns 5 and 6, then climbing up the fastest section of track coming up after this with a few curves in it, but it's lovely. It just drops down and back up again. It's all flat out up here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where some things it's very good for a powerful engine, but then once you get past this section, this right-hander, it starts getting into some really sort of tricky tricky corners, and that's really down to then the car and then the driver utilising the grip that car's got. So it's that very difficult left-hander hairpin.
Now, the Astons have been having a really good dice. Let's see what Alex Muller... Alex Muller, it wasn't his mistake, it was Piccioni's mistake. Oh my goodness, he nearly hit the tyres.
There, yeah. And he's lost that to Marcus.
Yep, and now Finkelhock through, isn't it? So the Lamborghini's gone past. Meanwhile, back on board with Lucas Luhr in second place. Still not quite close enough to challenge the Corvette up ahead.
Yeah, this is really the slowest part of the circuit. This is where it's really left and right, but you're still carrying uphill. The tight right-hander, I think this is the slowest part of the circuit, about 70 k's. And now you're coming up to a left-hander now, and then you've got a nice little drive and some fast sort of corners coming up towards the last pit straight. This is where the bump on this, as we come there, there's a big sort of compression, and the car gets quite light as it comes off of that compression, and that's where we lost the Aston Martin.
Time, 6.5 minutes, just less than to go in this race. And for the moment, Francesco Pastorelli, the 24-year-old, is just about holding on to that advantage over the potential new champions of 2011, Lucas Luhr with Michael Krum. And Pastorelli here, well...
That was a good last lap.
Yeah, a good lap there. Only a tenth or so quicker.
But it's better than nearly a second, which he has been losing before. So again, good first split as well.
Yeah, although
Lucas is still quicker, yeah.
Yeah, he does a slightly quicker first split, but he's not in position to really attack. So the anxiety, there's the team boss. And, well, he's been in this situation before, but a victory would mean so much to this small, close-knit family team. It really would be something special for them, especially with two young drivers that have never raced in this series before, but have both proved themselves in other categories of racing elsewhere. They've got the talent and experience, but just not at this World Championship level in GT1 cars.
Absolutely. That's a big jump.
It
big
is.
Jump for these guys. And now this pressure that Francesco's under.
There's a chance, is there?
No, not yet. I
Not
think at
quite.
this point, not yet. But all Lucas is going to do is just keep putting Francesco Pastorelli under pressure with these last couple of laps, 5 minutes.
So, great stuff here. Lucas Luhr and Michael Krum are heading for the title, but can they rest that they want as well here to get the maximum point score in the first race of the day? And as you say, he's just trying to unsettle the youngster. That's got to be the system. Nobody really knows what his strengths and weaknesses are, so Lucas Luhr is trying to sum all that up as he follows him.
Absolutely, and that's a difficult thing because you just don't know what the guy's like under pressure. But at the moment, he's coping pretty well. He's a little bit sporadic with the lap times, but at the end of the day, he's able to get it all back and actually throw in some competitive lap times. So he's just going to look, as I said, look forward. Don't look in your mirrors. Just do what you're doing and just continue and don't make any mistakes. But that's easy to say.
Yeah, easy said. David Brabham, meanwhile, who's down in eighth place now after a horrible pit stop. He's been setting fast sector times, hasn't he? Watched a few purple sectors coming up on David Brabham's timing screen. We're just still with the race leaders. The gap was 0.53 on that lap and 0.2 gained by Lucas Luhr, but again, not really enough now. Watch with Lucas as he really goes on the attack. It does seem this first sector is particularly good for the Nissan, so they're out of turns 1 and 2, down toward turn 4 here as they climb up and then back down again on the exit of the corner.
Drive here.
There is an opportunity perhaps down
it's a bit short,
the hill.
It's a tight chicane here, but I think it'd be a very risky move. He's thought better of it, sensibly.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to take a huge risk here.
No,
that was a good exit by the Corvette, whereas Lucas had just a little bit of oversteer. And you could see the effect it had. The Corvette was just able to gain a leg.
Absolutely, and always a little bit of wheel spin, especially these latter points of the race. A little correct your style to stop the car sliding, which brings the temperature back down again, and then you get that extra grip back. But you know, that Nissan seems to be sort of very good on its tyres at the moment. But Francesco is doing an absolutely mega job there.
So far, so good. Can he keep it together for the remainder of this race? Lovely stuff. And what a story it would be for the two youngsters to emerge with a victory here, and particularly for Francesco, who's done so little racing in the last couple of years. As I say, working on the cars more than driving them. But right now, things are looking very, very good indeed. But under pressure, he's got to keep his head, keep his cool, and keep the potential world champions. It's not just anybody behind him, it's the potential world champions behind in the remaining few laps here.
Absolutely. It'd be such a wonderful story to see these two sort of virgins to GT1 racing taking it against the big boys. And at the end of the day, so far, and I really hope they can, you know, we've got just under 2 minutes to go, but the pressure is under, and he's been under it for quite a while now. Lucas is really, really pushing, trying to, I think, force him into a mistake. I think that's his safest way of getting past, but he hasn't given up, which is great to see.
No, it is good, and it's lovely to watch the battle between the two of them. It was 0.5 of a second again, so very little in it on their lap times on that last lap. Virtually identical lap times. Lucas Luhr, this is where he does get a great run though, and the Corvette driver just has to keep his head.
Lucas has got a good car underneath him now. Has he got the drive this time? Nah, not quite.
The Corvette beginning to go a bit defensive.
Oh, very. A braking early as well.
Lucas, well, he'd love to do this. We are on the final lap. But he's also heading for the world title here. Yeah, and that's really got to be his main focus. But any chance to take the lead, and he will do.
Absolutely. And again, we see that Corvette gets good drive out of that first chicane. Oh, he's braking. He's really protected. I hope he sort of just doesn't quite overdo it.
Yeah, it's so tight now. Down into the chicane. Tricky braking on the cornering here.
Yeah.
Francesco Pastorelli, the younger brother of Nicky Pastorelli, who's won races this year in GT1. But Nicky has had so many disappointments. How will he feel to see his brother here? Nicky will be watching this from pit lane thinking, I've had to work so hard to get to this point, and he's here on his first ever race. But will he hold on for the remaining part of the lap? There's still the long climb to come.
Yeah, and I think he's in a good position. This part of the circuit is looking very good with his Corvette. He's had very good drive. I think the traction seems to be very good. And at this part of the circuit, we're going uphill, coming towards the sort of the last few corners. This is sort of the last of the slowish corners, and then it really opens up towards the final pit straight.
Here we go then.
Here's that compression.
Coming into the last section of the circuit now. And it looks as though we're not only going to have a new winner, we are going to have new world champions, because Jelmer Berman takes the win. But the new world champions are Michael Crum and Lucas Luhr. They have done it. They have won the 2011 title. Kept the pressure on at the end there. A remarkable story. But the German pairing on board that Nissan have taken the world title in the first race of the weekend. Third place goes to Dominic Schweger in this race. Bernoldi finishes a fine fourth in the Sumo Nissan. Muller finishes fifth with Thomas Henger. Winkelhock sixth with Marc Basseng. That wasn't enough for them. But for this Exim Bank Team China, for Patrick Salazar and his small, close-knit family-run team, husband and wife-run team, they have taken victory in the qualifying race. The only time in GT1 that happened was last year in Abu Dhabi, where they took a Corvette of Andy Zuber and Mark Henrici took the first win of 2010. Well, that's a great performance by the Corvette crew. But also, let's take our hats off to Michael Crum and Lucas Luhr. They might not have won this race, Johnny, but they have been the class driver pairing of the season.
Absolutely. I think that was a great, fantastic race. I can't really push it up so much. That Corvette, Francesco Pastorelli and Jelmer Berman, fantastic race. But you have to say a fantastic year for the Lucas Luhr, Michael Crum, Nissan GTR. You know, it's been very tough for them, but at the end of the day, you know,
they had their moments of despair and disappointment, but generally they made very few mistakes. There are the points, 137 points for Michael Crum and Lucas Luhr, 120 for Mucker and Turner, but we know they won't be scoring any more points here today. So although a 17-point margin wouldn't be enough under normal circumstances when there are 25 available for the second race, but it doesn't apply in this occasion. Basseng and Winkelhock are in third, tied with Enger and Muller. So that's still got to be decided in the event tomorrow. And Hohenard and Piccini are only 1 point behind. So the battle for, in fact, it'll be for second place really in the points as much as third, because Turner and Mucker won't be able to score, so they can't defend their second place. So we could have an incredibly close battle for second in the championship. But there is now no doubt about who's won the title outright, and that is Michael Crum and Lucas Luhr. And many, many congratulations to them. But what about young Pastorelli here and young Jelmer Berman for that matter as well? The two Dutch, I mean, Pastorelli's Dutch-Italian, he's dual nationality. He lives in Holland, his brother Nicky lives in Italy. They don't get to see each other too often. They've got a chance to catch up this weekend. But amazingly, it's Francesco, not Nicky, who's won the first race.
Congratulations to our new world champion. Well done, Michael. What a season you and Lucas have had.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, a big thank you to Nissan, to the team, to Lucas, to the mechanics. I mean, it's been an absolutely amazing year, and I can't believe that we finished like this. And yes, we were lucky with Darren's unfortunate happening yesterday with Aston, but we proved today, I think, that we are the quickest car, and tomorrow maybe we can show it again. But we're very, very happy.
Congratulations, thank you.
Indeed, congratulations. And what about these two, Francesco Pastorelli and Jelmer Berman? Jelmer, who did an amazing first stint to open up that gap, and then Pastorelli, who did enough to hold onto it. But these two guys, that's lovely to see. They've worked so well together. And now they can really begin to relax and enjoy it. FIA GT World Champions. Lucas looks pretty tired, and he's used to some hot places and some very tiring cars. More physical work, all the effort that's gone in. And there is Francesco Pastorelli. Now, you'd never know he was Nicky Pastorelli's brother, would you?
Nope, not at all. They're not similar, are they?
Not at all. But it's lovely for them, lovely for these two guys, he and Jelmer Berman. And in fact, he'll be on the podium with his brother. That's nice.
That's nice.
Together. Yeah. Let's get down and hear now from Lucas Luhr.
Congratulations, Lucas, a new world champion. You and Michael Crum have been unbeatable this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say really. I just thanks to Nissan, to Michael, especially to Michael. I learned a lot from him. He's a great guy, and you know, incredibly quick. So that always allowed me to raise my game a little bit, and you know, to be champions now is wonderful for me and Michael. Winning with the number 23 Nissan is just great. I don't have other expressions.
How tempted were you to try and take the win, Lucas? We saw you fighting, but we were wondering whether you were going to try and take it or just relax, and you did relax. You are world champion, but did you really want the win as well?
Yeah, of course I was going for it, and the guys on the radio said, don't take any risk, and I was pushing as hard as I could, and in the last couple of laps I saw him, you know, he was a little bit slower, but at the end it doesn't matter. We are world champions, and now the pressure is off, and we're going to have a fantastic race tomorrow.
Thank you, Lucas. Congratulations.
Lovely to see the emotion there. I mean, he's been a champion before. He won the Porsche Spider, but to win something that's called the FIA GT World Championship, that really means something. Let's get down to the pits now, though, and hear from our new boys, the race winners.
Congratulations, Francesco. Finally, a win in the Corvette.
Yeah, that's why Patrick asked us, I think, but that's why we're here. Thank you.
What does it mean to you to be in the winner's enclosure with your brother as well?
That's the best for my father, who's looking at home, so now he has his two sons on the podium.
And how much pressure did you feel having to do well here this weekend, knowing that your brother's had a good season in the GT1 World Championship?
Yeah, it was quite a big pressure, but then after the qualifying, there was more hope to come, and then yeah, when the gap stayed the same in the last few laps, then I believed in it.
Yeah, when all your friends and family in Holland have got to be going crazy right now.
Well, I did get a lot of texts and Twitter feeds, everything. So yeah, I think it was it was a great race, and I enjoyed the first couple of laps.